I just remember, we're racing back to shore and I was yelling, "This is epic. I love this." It's just the rain was coming down and it was, things like that.
Welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer Podcast, inspiring real women with a passion for fishing in the outdoors to go get their adventure on. Now, here's your host, Master Captain Angie Scott.
Welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer Podcast. Kind of fun doing a video episode this time around, but if you're just listening to the audio, you're still going to get a great conversation, but you can check this out on YouTube as well. And I have a special guest joining me this week, Sheryl Bentley. Sheryl, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Angie. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're going to talk a little bit about all the things that you have going on in the fishing world. But before we jump into that, I want to start off, if you could just give our listeners a little background about yourself and your journey into the world of fishing.
Okay, sure. Well, I'm relatively new to bass fishing, and the bass fishing is basically what has brought me to being on your podcast. I'm currently the director for the Slay Nation online ladies series. What brought me here was my love for fishing. And when I was young, the typical story where you're influenced by your parents bringing you out fishing and then getting out of it as getting older, you just kind of fall out of it. And then I fished a lot of salt. We used to take family trips, striper fishing, flounder fishing, and I always held on to that part, which I loved. I wasn't as familiar with the freshwater. Life goes by, got married, had kids, and we ended up buying a house on a beautiful river, which I absolutely loved, but I never ventured out on. And looking back, that it blows my mind. Like, why was I not out on that water? And I actually have regret. Like, I feel lost time. I lost time on this beautiful river. But I had 2 young children. I was hesitant on putting them in a canoe on the water. I don't know, just I was scared to do it. I don't know why. We had a canoe sitting in the backyard. Brought them out once, but then when they were a little older, I did start bringing them out. And it was so fun. But by then they were going into their teen years and didn't want to be hanging out with me as much. So I started taking the canoe out on my own. And there was no fishing at this point. I was just chilling on the water. I'd go upriver in the evening after work and then float home at dark. And it was amazing. And then I just started, well, what happens if I bring a rod and some worms and a bobber? It was just so basic, but it's so fulfilling and I loved it. And I ended up catching a bass, which I had never done before. And then that was it. Like, and came kayak, a lot of new gear, a better kayak, a lot more better gear, another kayak, and it just excelled, and the bass became my focus, and I learned to appreciate the river I live on in just such a new way, and it got me, the bass, and we have largemouth and smallmouth both. Okay. So I knew nothing of competitive fishing, absolutely nothing, and I saw post on Facebook. It was a local fishing group and they were looking for members for a local kayak bass fishing trail. And I was super nervous and scared. I didn't know if I could do it, but honestly, I didn't even know what I would be doing. I had no concept of how tournaments were held, but I reached out and they welcomed me in. I fished my first tournament, which I had so much anxiety. It's funny looking back on it, but I was terrified to do this, but I actually did well. It was a location I was fairly familiar with, so I did all right, and I found I absolutely loved it, and it was just being around people that loved fishing as much as I did, because, normally in work situation or even a lot of friend circle, it you don't always find people so passionate about fishing, and it can feel a little lonely sometimes not having that. So when I started finding these fishing groups, it was just great, and I started looking for other opportunities. I found some online things, including the Slay Nation online lady series. And it was fun, just, a group of ladies from all over the country, and we'd have little chat groups going and supportive of each other. And the founder, Frankie, of Slay Nation had put out an email asking if anybody wanted to help. And I was right there. It's like, choose me. I want to do this. And mind you, it's my first year tournament fishing, but I learned so much in 2 months, even just the whole concept of, measuring your fish, the catch, photo, release. It was all very new. It was daunting. The local trails, there not many women anglers, and so feeling a little out of place, honestly. So when this opportunity arose to work with Frankie for the ladies series, it was something I was really drawn to doing, and just getting the word out and finding women who might want to fish but were afraid to, or didn't know how, or wanted that community, didn't know where to find it. So it's been a really great experience, and it just accelerates so quickly. The groups you fish with, the gear, the opportunities, it's amazing. I absolutely love it. And that's where I am now. I mean, I mostly bass fish. I'm with a few different groups, but I fish for everything I can. It's just what fires me up. It's what I wake up thinking about. It's what I dream about. Fresh, salt, little fish, big fish. I don't care. I just want to fish for them. So
yeah. And what part of the country are you in, for listeners are wondering?
Yeah, good question. I am in New Hampshire, and very, very fortunate to be surrounded by so many bodies of water. We have big rivers, little rivers, ponds, huge lakes. The ocean is just about an hour east of me. We have the beautiful lakes region, mountain region north of me. To the west is the big Connecticut River, which that's an amazing fishery. Yeah, there's just you can wake up and it's like, all right, where do I want to go? Because there's so much to choose from.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Cool. So when you jumped into tournament fishing, which, by the way, I think a lot of us, when you're fishing a tournament, still get that anxiety and butterflies, because you want to do so well. And,
yeah.
But
so it's not just me.
No.
I'm on my third year, and I still, feel that anxiety.
Yeah. I know one of the ladies I fished with on the Lady Bass Anglers, she's been doing it for years and years. And still, like, when she first started, she would actually vomit before a tournament. She was that nervous.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
That happened for a number of years. And I think she's gotten past that now, but she still gets a high level of nerves before every tournament. So definitely not alone there.
Okay.
But when you first jumped in the group
Yeah.
the trail that you fished, were there any other ladies as a part
There
of it?
there actually were, and believe it or not, I think there were 4 of us all together in the first group that I joined, and one, it was her first time tournament fishing too. The other 2 ladies, just wonderful people, and they have been tournament fishing for quite a while, very skilled and talented and supportive, which was very important to me because it did help having them there. They don't always fish as many of the events, and one of them has dropped out for another event. So this year, I was the only one, which I, I don't like that as much.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Like,
I
where's
guess
my girls?
it's good though that there were some others, when you first started, for sure.
Yes.
But
Yeah, it really, it was comforting. I didn't feel so different because, the basic demographic is male, often, I would say even younger too. So I really felt like a complete difference between my age and gender. I just felt I different, you know.
yeah,
So, and it's still like that, and it shouldn't be because they're all wonderful. The groups I fish with, the guys are all great. There's it just it feels better when there's other people kind of like you.
right. Absolutely. Definitely helps. I can relate to that. I started tournament fishing with a group of guys here in Tennessee, in Nashville area, and they were all awesome. So that was super helpful. But there
Yeah.
were no other ladies involved at all, and probably still aren't to this day. But then I learned about the Lady Bass Anglers Association, and then joined and
Hmm.
did a few years fishing with them, and that it's definitely a totally different feeling,
Yeah.
and it's great to have those ladies groups. So talk a little bit more about the ladies online series.
Yeah.
How does it work for somebody who doesn't understand? If we probably familiar with in-person tournaments and kind of how that works, but how does the
Yeah.
online series work?
Yeah, well, it's catch, photo, and release, CPR, and it's run through a tournament platform, which we use Tourney X, and
Mhm.
that's the platform that you submit all your catches to. And we go best of 5 fish in length. And as you submit your fish, it calls out the smaller ones, so you don't have to stress about that. Just upload your fish. We try to make it easy. We have a minimum length of 10 inches, which, is a little shorter and then a lot of the other tournaments that might start at 12 inches. And because it's online and nationwide, you can fish any body of water that you choose. As long as you have public access, anybody could fish it. We run it for a weekend, and it starts 6 a.m. on your time zone. You can fish, and that would be a Saturday morning. You can fish all day Saturday. You could fish all Saturday night straight through to Sunday. And then it ends at 8 p.m. your time. So you
Um,
get 2 full days. And we do that because a lot of people might not be able to fish one of those weekend days. So at least, if you can't hit both days, you've at least got the one. And we have 3 divisions within there. There's a boat division, kayak division, and a bank division.
hmm,
And over the years, we've been adjusting it and kind of changing. I think prior to me being involved with the group, they didn't have those divisions
Right.
between the boat, kayak, bank, and everyone fished together. And then we're always taking feedback, asking the ladies, well, what do you think was successful here? What would you like to see change? And that was a suggestion that we divide it into those three: boat, kayak, bank. This year, we brought it even further, and we created a demographic division by your location, basically north and south. And because, we're just trying to find ways to level the playing field. It can sometimes, it can, you feel like, oh, Florida and Texas has the really big fish. But I'll tell you, New Hampshire and Oregon, a lot of the ladies in these northern states have been taking the wins too. So, but then there's the whole weather factor. I know last year down south, the temperatures got so crazy hot that basically a lot of the ladies just couldn't fish. It was too hot to fish. And so, with the feedback, we did decide to divide the continent. And now we have the 6. It's basically 6. So you have your boat, kayak, and bank within Division 1 and Division 2. What we found, unfortunately, is we don't have enough participants to fill up these events. So they're not as fun. Some of them, if you only got 2 ladies, they're all good natured. Some of them, they don't care. It's 2 people. They just go do their thing and have fun. But it's better with more people. So I try to promote it through other fishing groups, different social media groups, and just really try to get the word out, because I think a lot of women might want to try tournament fishing or just find, something to participate in where it's supportive and would benefit from, and your fishing skills. You learn so much if you're just starting out. It's great for people just starting out, but we also have ladies that are very good tournament anglers, and they're involved in a lot of different groups and do really well. So it's for all levels.
Do you just run it through your website, or is there a platform or a group, or how does that work? Like how do they connect and all that?
Yep. Well, we do have a Facebook group for the Lady Slayers. We have an Instagram page, and then an email list, of course. So we get out information through that. The actual events are run through Tourney X. So there's a lot of information on that website. And then looking at the Slay Nation website, there's a lot of information on there too. There's a whole tab for the Lady Slayers that, it talks about the rules, regulations, and all that good stuff.
Got it. I've got it up here, so I'm just pulling that up real quick. Yeah, it looks good. I'll put a link directly to that in the show notes for this episode, so people can just click it and go check it out. And is it all species of bass, like spotted bass, smallmouth, largemouth, or how does that work?
Those 3, okay. The large, small, and spotted. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, very cool. Yeah. Anything else you want to share about that before we kind of shift gears a little bit?
Well, while you're looking on Slay Nation, Lady Slayers, if anyone's on that website, there's other opportunities too offered through Slay Nation. A lot of the times, the ladies get comfortable with these online tournaments, and then they'll find out that there's a local Slay Nation group that they can fish in-person events too. And it's always pretty cool when you see that happen. But there's, this year there's a new team series online where you can team up with anybody else across the country and fish that way, which is fun. So there's a lot of different opportunities, to get into the tournament world. And
one question I was going to ask, and I see it on the website. So obviously to partake in the tournament, you pay an entry fee, and then that kind of determines the payout, right?
Yes. Yeah. So you need to be a member of Slay Nation, and you need an account with Tourney X. After you've got those established for each event, there is a fee. This year it's $31 to participate. As you see on the website, there's a payout sheet, and it's determined by how many other ladies you're fishing against, or fishing with. I like using the word against. How many ladies you're fishing with. And, obviously the more ladies, the bigger the payout. We pay first, second, third place, and then big bass. And I'll tell you, the big bass payouts are pretty good. I think I'd rather get big bass than first, because that's always exciting, And then we do promotions. One of our sponsors, Andy's Heat Your Meat, he makes hot spices, and we've developed a post. It's called the hot seat. And we put whoever got the big bass goes into the frame, the hot seat frame. So we do a lot of promoting for our ladies. I like, after the events, I like putting together video reels of any pictures they want to send me. It doesn't matter if they placed or not. And just pictures of where they're fishing in the country, and it's fun. It really, it's a lot of fun to.
Awesome. It looks like you've got for 2024, a couple of them have already taken place, but between the two divisions, you have 5 different weekends designated.
Yes. Yeah. May, June, July, August, September. And then Division 1 is held one weekend, the kayak bank boat, and then within a month. And then Division 2 is held on an alternate weekend within the same month. So we've had Division 1 and 2 May events take place. And we've had Division 1 June. Division 2 June is coming up in 2 weekends. And it's never too late to hop in, just because you're not registered at the start of the season. And the other point is you can jump around. You don't have to stay in, let's say you register kayak. You don't have to stay for the kayak events only. You can fish the boat and the bank. Your AOY points just won't, combine between all of them. So, but yeah, we try to be flexible.
At the end of the year as well.
Yes. Yeah. And they get some sort of an award. Usually it's a plaque or something, whoever takes the AOY.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, we'll probably talk a little bit more about it before we wrap up, but I wanted to shift gears just a little bit and talk about your art. So you've found a way to kind of blend art and fishing, and you have a website and a blog, and I just wanted to kind of find out, how that happened and how those two passions came to intersect with each other.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's what makes me tick, really. And I've been learning this. It's been fishing has been a lot of self-discovery for me. It's not necessarily the sport and the tournament fishing. That's really not the most important thing about fishing to me. And like I had mentioned earlier, when I first started getting back out on the water as an adult, it was more like contemplative time. I didn't have my fishing gear. It was just me in the canoe, and a lot of personal things were happening at that time. I was going through a divorce. I lost my dad, and I was raising my two daughters on my own, and it was a lot. I was starting a new job contracting, and there was a lot on my plate, and being on the river is what kept me sane. I swear that canoe is what kept me sane. And a lot of reflection, inner reflection happened during those times. And when I started fishing, adding the fishing element to those river trips, it's hard to explain. Like I'm an artist. I'm a full-time artist. I look at things from an artistic way, I guess, and just the shapes and the colors and the forms and the unknown things, what do you hook into something, and what is it? You don't know. It's under the water, and you bring it to the surface, and it's very metaphoric to me. And I started painting these thoughts of the fish and fishing, and the paintings really show the joy I get out of it. My paintings are often very colorful, a lot of movement. Yeah, they're just an expression of my complete happiness with fishing. I don't know. It's so fulfilling. It's what makes me tick. And I get kind of nerdy about it. Some fish, especially salt, I'll bring home and I'll freeze whole, and then I'll use them as my subject, to paint. I take a lot of pictures when I'm fishing for reference.
I'm gonna pull that up here so I can look at it while we're chatting. I'll share the link too. So the link is wherewatermeetsair.com. If I didn't get any typos in there, I think I did it good.
Yep.
So I'm pulling up the gallery here.
Yeah, that's my fishing website. Quite a few years ago, I used to write a lot more, and I started a blog, and it seems blogs are a bit outdated now, and I don't have time to write as much. But yeah, I had established that website, and honestly, my intent with that was really to focus on resources for women anglers, and I was just never able to give it the time it deserved. And so yeah, now there's some stories I had written on it. It's got some of my artwork on there, and yeah,
very, very beautiful artwork.
Thank you.
Put a link to that in the show notes as well, so people can check that out. Are there any memorable catches or anything that you can think of off the top of your head that really kind of deeply influenced your creative process?
There's a few. I have all kinds of stories in those paintings. Usually there is a story in the paintings, whether it was an actual happening or a dream. Like there's a painting on there called Epic, and it's a cod coming up out of purple swirling waters. And that was just an incredible day. I was out on the ocean, and we were fishing. I was on my brother's boat, and a storm was moving in, and the sky was going black and purple, and the sea was all dark green and purple, and it was swirling around, and the wind was blowing, and we're like, we gotta go to shore. And just then I hooked into a big fish, and it came up, and it was just this big beautiful cod, and you can't, they're you can't keep them. There's a very short open season, so I could only bring it boat side, but it was just so almost fairy tale like, the way it came up and the colors. And I just remember, we're racing back to shore, and I was yelling, "This is epic. I love it." It's just the rain was coming down, and it was, things like that. And then jigging for mackerel. They're such a beautiful fish, just the way the light hits them and reflects. And dreams. I have a lot of dreams about water and fishing. And so, yeah, they're allegorical paintings. Definitely.
Cool. Love that they have stories behind them.
Yeah.
Very cool. Want to learn about fishing, hunting, and outdoor gear from fellow experienced outdoor women, as well as get inspired to try something new in the outdoors? Then subscribe to Adventurous, the only women's hunting and fishing magazine. Adventurous is a high-quality print magazine that receives rave reviews, and it also makes a great gift for other outdoor women and youth. Subscribe at Adventurous Magazine and use code WOMANANGLER for 15% off. Let's talk a little bit more about community and the community that you've built with the online tournament platform. Are there any future initiatives coming up that you're excited about with that?
The word that keeps coming to me, and Frankie and I were talking about this the other week, is fun. I think I want to get more fun into it. It's almost become too serious, which I mean, it's tournament fishing. There's money involved. That's serious stuff. Right. But we want to bring back the fun element, and we're talking about ways to do that. There's some things we've been discussing, some changes. And honestly, I don't know how long these separate divisions are going to last, because it's too divided. I think a lot of the ladies at this point might be feeling it is better to be in the big group and not have these 6 different things going on. So yeah, we're adjusting. Like I said, we're always taking notes, asking questions, and the participants, their point of view and their opinions really matter to us, and we want to keep it fun, and we want to make it a good experience and have that community of women cheering each other on, and from across the country. I'll tell you, it's so fun when I judge fish and see these pictures from all over the country, and it's just, I love it. It's so fun. So I guess that's the word, fun. We're going to try to get that back in there.
Yeah, it's important to keep it fun, because when you lose the fun, then it's like, well, why are we doing this? I mean, there's got to be
right.
I know we're all competitive and we all want to do our best, and sometimes you do kind of lose sight of that. Why am I fishing? And so
right.
I think that's super important. So, and I know Frankie was supposed to join us this evening, but he had a last minute conflict. And so I did want to give a shout out to some of the title sponsors that support Slay Nation.
Yes.
So I have those up here. Do you wanna name them out?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Martin's custom baits, amazing baits. We love the spinners, the bladed baits, really, really amazing baits. Then we have Dark Horse Tackle. If you haven't checked them out, all small business, American made baits, great group of guys. Black Hall Outfitters as well. And then the Sport Fishing Outlet down in PA. Those are our title sponsors. And then we have a lot of presenting sponsors, a lot of groups helping us out. And you can find a list of that on the website because that's a lot to read right now.
It's great to have that support because, as we all know, sponsors play a crucial role in being able to make things like this happen. And so definitely wanted to take a little bit of time to mention them on the podcast.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, we appreciate them. That's for sure.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and kind of start wrapping it up here. Do you have any final thoughts or pieces of advice that you'd like to share with our listeners? Particularly the lady anglers, or maybe somebody who is thinking about dipping their toes in the tournament world, but just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, if that is anyone's case where they're thinking about it or and just want to learn more about angling, because I'll tell you, tournament fishing, you learn faster than any other way, I think, if you want to get better at it. And the ladies are always emailing me or texting me questions. I don't care. I like that. I like to be able to answer any question because, like I said, we have women that never fished a tournament before, that never used a measuring board or an identifier, or the list goes on. So, and you'll learn all this. And you catch on quickly. And I give kudos to them, especially the ones that are just starting out, because I know it's frustrating. It can be very frustrating, especially if you end up getting a fish denied and you just worked hard all day to get those fish up there, and something unfortunate wasn't quite right and your catch gets denied. It can be frustrating, but they hang in there, and that's the way to learn. And I love it that they don't get discouraged and keep coming back and getting better. So yeah, if anyone's interested, this is a wonderful way to start learning about tournament fishing and learning the basic rules.
Yep. I agree.
In a supportive environment. We're not cutthroat, we're not, we're helping each other, helping each other out.
And that's important. And I know, to me, like, I haven't been tournament fishing this year, just because of different reasons, scheduling and the cost and all of that. But I also haven't fished nearly as much as I normally do. So it's definitely, that's a huge benefit to me, is like it's forcing you to take the time to fish. So,
yes, right. You sign up for it. It's like, yeah, I'm going, I'm doing this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You make
the investment
to be a part of the tournament. And so you have an excuse to all those other things that aren't your to-do list. You're like, nope, can't do them this weekend.
I can't mow the lawn today. I signed up for a tournament.
Exactly.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been a pleasure. How can our listeners stay connected with you and follow your fishing and your artistic adventures?
Yeah, sure. Where water meets air, I have Instagram and a TikTok. And as you mentioned, the webpage, the blog, My business name for my artwork alone is A Brush with Life, and I have more work on that that's not always on the other one. Also, if you're interested in Slay Nation, whether it's the ladies series or anything else, feel free to reach out to me on any of those social platforms, or you can email slaynationtournamentfishing@gmail.com. The ladies online Facebook page, you can message me through that. Yeah, seems many ways, many ways to get in touch with me.
Awesome.
If you're, if you want to know more.
Very cool. Well, thank you again so much. This has been
I appreciate it.
It's and I hope
good to meet you. Yeah, I've been listening to you a long time. I'm like, oh God, I'd love to meet her. So thank you.
I'm glad you reached out, and hopefully we can help get the word out about the Ladies Slayers, and some of the listeners will go check it out and get involved in some of these online tournaments.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.